Hi everyone! Today we're going to practice making gargoyles, and Chico is here to help us, as always. So we're going to start with a ball of clay like this, and what I want you to do is when you have your ball of clay, you can stand up in this, and you can push down on it like this. Now a lot of you are tempted to go bang, bang, don't do that. All you need to do is just lean into it like this to start to kind of flatten it a little bit. Then you're going to take your rolling pin, and you're gonna go just a little bit like this in one side like that. See how I do that? And then I lift it up and I rotate my rolling pin. So I don't go too much in one direction. I just do a little this way, I lift it up, I rotate, and I do it a little bit the other way. So I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna make this nice foundation, just a little bit of rolling this way, I pick it up, I rotate it. I roll a little bit this way, I pick it up, I rotate it. So just keep doing that until you have a nice thin-ish base that should be about the thickness of your pinky. Okay, we don't want it too thin and we don't want it too thick. Now what you're gonna do eventually is you're gonna have this piece laid out that is about the right thickness. You can see right here. And you're gonna cut a rectangle. Now this is gonna be the foundation that you build your gargoyle face on. So I'm gonna cut out this rectangle shape like this from my clay, okay? Then what I can do is if I've done that properly, I can usually pull my clay up like that. So now I have this base that I'm gonna be building my gargoyle on. What you can do, you might ask for help doing this, is you can carve your name very carefully on the back so that you don't pierce through the clay. Now that I have this base for my gargoyle, I'm gonna start thinking of the different pieces I wanna add to my gargoyle. And this is where it gets really, really fun. You're gonna cut the clay out in different pieces to create the different parts of the face. So maybe for the eyeballs, you wanna do just balls of clay. You could roll the clay like this. And you can maybe do another eyeball like this, and you can do this in different ways. So I'm gonna stick my eyeballs on my clay like this, and to do that, I've gotta find where the surface is gonna be and kind of push it into the surface. And now I can see where I need to score my clay. I've got my water handy too. So I'm gonna do some scores in my clay like this, okay? And then I'm gonna do some scores right here. I'm gonna make it really rough. Now this makes it so that these pieces will stick together. If you don't do this, it won't stick, it won't work. I'm gonna add a little bit of water with my finger and stick it on like that. And then I'm gonna do the same thing here. Now don't make your ball too big because it will take a really long time to dry. We've talked about that before. We want our pieces to not be too thick because they take too long to dry. And if they're not dry when we put them in the kiln, they will explode inside the kiln, so we have to be really careful. Now, there's different ways we can make eyeballs here. One fun way to do is to kind of stick your clay tool all the way down through the center to make a really dramatic looking eyeball. And maybe you could use a thinner tool on, if your eyeballs are different sizes, you could use kind of a different tool for the second eyeball just to make it look a little bit funny. So I've got this 2 eyeball pieces there, and now maybe I want to add eyebrows. So I'm going to cut out some eyebrows here out of my clay. Now I saved this flat clay that I rolled out because I can cut out the different facial pieces. So I'm gonna make the eyebrows kind of stick up 3-dimensional like that because I can, because it's fun. So I'm going to see where I made my mark there by pushing the clay in there. I made a little mark in the clay, and so I know where to score it. I know where I want to add my score. I'm making that clay nice and rough. I'm creating those hooks so that my clay will stick to it. Nice and rough with those little hooks of clay. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of water with my finger, and I'm gonna push that gently down right in those spots where I made those marks. And now I have this cool eyebrow kind of outlining the eye there. I'm gonna make another one. I'm gonna cut another one out right here. And see how that looks? That's pretty fun. So I'm pushing it into the clay so I can see where it's leaving a mark. That's right where I want it. And then I can see a very gentle mark there where I pushed into the clay. So I'm going to go ahead and score that with my tool. Okay. And then score on this piece here. Okay. And then I'm going to add a little bit of water with my finger, just a little bit. Now I'm going to push it into this spot where I scored it. And then once you have it on there, you can kind of play around a little bit with the shape of it. Maybe I want to add little texture to my eyebrows. I could do some kind of eyebrow hairs in there, make it look a little more fun and exciting. So I'm adding some texture to my eyebrows. And I could even outline, if I want to outline a circle around my eyeballs, I could do that too. That's always kind of fun. So I just cut out what I thought would be kind of a fun nose right here. Maybe I can kind of bend it a little bit like that too. And then I can have it go kind of between the eyes like that. Isn't that fun?
Maybe a little bit crooked too would be funny.
Yeah, you can play around with it. So I'm kind of pushing it in there to see where I want my nose. And then I'm going to pull up on the clay so I see it's touching in these spots. So I definitely want to score these spots right here to help get my nose to stick. And any other spots where my nose might be sticking, I want to score a little bit. So it looks like it touches a little bit right here as well. So I'm scoring that, and I'm going to score this. I'm going to score these spots that touch right here so that my nose will stick on my gargoyle. So I'm adding a little water here, like that, and maybe a tiny bit here as well. Then I'm going to push my nose into those places very gently, okay? And now the mouth, we can really have fun with the mouth. I was thinking something that kind of sticks up and out of the face a little bit. So these big kind of lips going out and open mouth. Now, gargoyles were very commonly used on Catholic cathedrals in medieval times. So this is like 1,000 years ago. They were used to help, they would have big open mouths and water went through them, so they helped keep the water off of the cathedral walls. So if you have a big, huge mouth in your gargoyle, it will help gargle that water away from the cathedral. So I'm thinking something like that, that's really wide and open. And if you want to really have fun with it, you could do a big tongue sticking out of it. That would be fun.
Is that how the word gargoyle came
That
from?
is it. There's a connection there, yeah. So a little water here can kind of smooth out the edges of my fun gargoyle mouth. And then again, I could even get this a little bit wet if I want to see better where the imprint is. So it looks like, and push it down there, and you can see this very slight mark here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to score in those areas. You got to make a bunch of little check marks, okay, in those areas. So a lot of cross-hatching of the clay, and this is making it so you're creating these little hooks, and that makes the clay stick to itself. So it's very important to carefully take the time and do this with each piece you stick on. Even if it's tiny, just do it very, very carefully. So there's that. And I'm gonna add a little bit of water. Okay, and stick that mouth on there. And then maybe I want to add, a tongue sticking out of there too. So I could take another piece of my clay like this, and I could cut out a tongue for my gargoyle. So just a big kind of U oval shape. Unless you want to do like a creepy snake tongue, which you could. I guess if you're gonna do a snake tongue, you'd want to do like a a long line and then kind of stick down in two parts like that. If you're going to do a snake tongue, you'd probably make it like that. But I'm going to do regular tongue because I feel like it. So something like this, maybe a little bit narrower. So I'm going to kind of stretch it out a little bit. And now I can test it out. Maybe I want it to be longer and kind of pinch it out. Have fun with your gargoyle. And then see how, isn't that great? See how that tongue can go in there. Now I want it to stick inside my mouth, so I'm going to make sure that I score it in the places where I want it to stick to the clay so it won't just fall out, right? That's important. So I'm adding this score on there, very carefully, and then I'm gonna add it very carefully right here. So I want that tongue to stay where I put it. So I'm scoring those places. And now I'm gonna add a little bit of water to get it to stay. I believe that's enough, maybe a tiny bit more. Okay, so there's my tongue. And I can kind of smooth out those surfaces with my finger. Now, there's nothing really happening in the face here, and I could change that. I can make that a little more exciting. I'm gonna take my snake tongue. Maybe I wanna do some big eye bags or cheekbones to kind of give my gargoyle a little bit more shape in the face, and you can do that. So maybe I wanna add some cheekbones right here to kind of make my gargoyle a little bit more exciting. Go ahead and score whatever
Or a lid
you
underneath
want to
the
add.
eye.
Yeah, and a lid underneath the eye would be good too, or just a big cheek. There's all kinds of things. You can add wrinkles, you can add marks, you can add scars to your gargoyle, whatever you think is good. So I'm just kind of pushing that into the clay there, and maybe I could do the same thing. Maybe I want to carve nostrils, like big nostrils in the side of my gargoyle, or give my gargoyle an eyebrow ring or a nose ring. You can just have fun and be really exciting with it. So I'm really excited to see how you go about this and what you come up with.